guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys, and welcome to another vlog. I am driving this. This is the Mercedes E-Class, the E220d. This is the BS6 model. And straight away, let's get into the engine bay. Now that is the BS6 engine. There is insulation here. And of course, the beautiful Mercedes logo right there. Big grille. You get front parking sensors, but there is no front camera here. Meanwhile, there's a towing hook here. It doesn't get headlight washers. However, the lights look really beautiful. Two torches for the E-Class. And of course, these are very advanced lights. It says Mercedes-Benz here. It says LED high performance right there. I hope you guys can see that. And the car does look brilliant. Yeah, it is very elegant, very nice, and extremely attractive too. I mean, it's understated and yet it's elegant. Now the wheels on this car are 17 inches. Yes, EcoSport also comes with 17-inch wheels, but the E-Class comes with 17-inch wheels. These are 225/50 by 17 inches. So very practical tire size on the Mercedes E-Class. Now this is of course the long wheelbase model, and when I say long wheelbase, it is absolutely mind-bogglingly long. The length of this car happens to be more than 5 meters. Yeah, that's right, more than 5 meters long, and the wheelbase itself is more than 3 meters long. That is the length of the Mercedes E-Class. Mind-boggling, very understated, very elegant. And at the rear, the lights again supremely beautiful. At night they look lovely indeed. Rear parking sensors, reverse parking camera, and obviously chrome highlights here. These are fake exhaust. This is not the exhaust. They are twin fake exhaust. I don't know why Mercedes-Benz has been doing fake exhaust, but yeah, they are absolutely fake. Towing hook there as well. Car looks very understated and nice. In fact, I'll do a quick walk around from the other side as well. So roof is finished in black. Actually, it's not finished in black. That's the glass because it gets panoramic roof, dual panoramic roofs. Very elegant, lot of chrome treatment surrounding the windows as well as on the door handles too. In fact, it also gets puddle lights here. Yeah, in the night they work, puddle lights are there. It doesn't say Mercedes-Benz or any of the design sketches which Land Rover cars do, but it has it. Anyways, let's quickly get into the boot of the vehicle. Now this happens to be a 540-liter boot, but the spare wheel has been placed right on top. Now this is a space saver spare wheel. It's not an alloy, but you know, it occupies all the boot space. It just doesn't make sense. Why do I even have a boot? Because I can't use it at all. Meanwhile, below here also there's stuff. There's space to keep stuff. Yeah, actually the toolkit and the jack and stuff like that. Yeah, let's just open this. As you can see, spare wheel. Actually, it is an alloy, but it's a small size tire, which is just a makeshift if you happen to get a puncture. So now this car actually happens to be the same E220d as earlier. However, there's a new trim which has been offered now. This happens to be the exclusive trim above the earlier Expression trim, which is also on sale by the way. So it gets slightly more features on offer. You can see a lot of controls here. You know what, you can make a lot of space inside. Seats are beautiful, very comfortable. The recline angle here is 37 degrees. That's right, 37 degrees. It's extremely comfortable. As you can see, the cabin has a lot of space. Long wheelbase does have its advantages. There's good amount of knee room, leg room, headroom, under thigh support, you name it, everything is there. In fact, there's some additions to this new trim. First and foremost, you obviously get a screen here. Yeah, that's right, you get the addition of a screen here. Meanwhile, under here center armrest, you have space to keep stuff, but there's a wireless charger which has been added here in the rear center armrest. So yeah, that is a wireless charger. The wireless charging has been activated. So let me actually turn on the air conditioning, and there's a screen here which is a very nice touch. So there the screen turns on. Let me swipe up. I can obviously use air conditioning here. It gets a 4-zone climate control air conditioning, and you can control almost everything from here. So you can get into vehicle. Yeah, it's a little slow, I don't know. There are a lot of ambient lighting options. You can control the ambient lighting from here as well. There are actually 64 ambient lighting options. You can control the audio system. You can get into system settings as well, and there's so many things on offer here. So the person sitting at the rear can operate a lot more things. This touchscreen is actually quite nice, and thankfully Mercedes has integrated this screen in the rear center armrest, unlike BMW, which gives a tablet in the 7 series, which is from Samsung, and I don't like Samsung. As you can see, a lot of buttons here. It gets memory seats at the rear. You can save up to 3 people's settings. And guess what, if you want to increase legroom at the rear, just press this button and you can push forward the seat. Yeah, that's right, you can increase the room at the rear by a touch of a button. Yeah, you can increase it as much as you want. You can see the ambient lighting is beautiful. It has got 64 ambient light color options as well, and the seat recline angle is also great. Okay, I'll just show that to you. So here you see The recline angle was already activated of full 37 degrees, and this is either upright right now, gives you a little space to keep stuff here, but you wouldn't want to because when you recline the seat, there's so much comfort on offer. By the way, that feature of moving the front seat ahead is only for the person who's sitting on my seat, not the person who's sitting on this seat, because if a person who's sitting on this seat moves this seat ahead, then the driver will get packed into the steering wheel along with the airbag. That just doesn't work. But there are no screens here, unfortunately. There's obviously a light here along with a mirror. Lot of comfort on offer. You get electric sunblinds here as well, which can be operated like this. You can operate that sunblind as well, and there's a rear sunblind as well. In fact, person sitting at the rear can control everything, including the roof blinds, so you can open the roof blinds too. So the rear seat is obviously a very important place in the Mercedes E-Class, and it shows because there is so much comfort on offer. I mean, this is actually S-Class level. That, yeah, falls slightly short of the S-Class because the S-Class has to be in the S-Class. You pay more for the S-Class for a reason. Meanwhile, my phone has been left here, unfortunately. Pretty comfortable at the rear. Now the thing is, because I've already reviewed this car earlier, you can click here to see everything about the interiors of the vehicle. I would focus on only the changes to this particular car, which happens to be very minimal because, like I told you, at the rear you get a wireless charger, you get the screen as well, and of course this new variant of the Mercedes E-Class, the E220d, gets a lot from the E350d. However, there's some new things on offer here, like this beautiful 12.3-inch screen. It's absolutely fab. In fact, I've been used to this screen so much that whenever I drive this car, I feel, oh god, am I driving the E63, because that's the car which comes with the screen. You get multiple modes here, of course. Revving the motor, and we are off, and it launches like an absolute beast, which happened to be the display mode, and the screen's resolution is extremely high as well. In fact, everything you can do on this screen can be done on this screen as well. You get touch controls on the steering wheel, you get cruise control, and there are plenty of features on offer. Front seats also very comfortable. Unfortunately, it doesn't get any heated or ventilated function. The front seats do not get memory function either, which is very disappointing. But sitting at the front, you can obviously move the seat front and behind as well, which is a nice touch. Meanwhile, the dashboard gets this beautiful wood finish. It looks very nice. These screens are absolutely mind-boggling, but there's no touch screen on offer. There's no dedicated button for traction control. You have to get into the setting to actually turn on and off traction control, and everything you see here can be operated here as well. So if I go in here, you can see I can operate navigation, trip assistance, service, and media too. So yeah, both these screens let you operate everything which is there in the Mercedes E-Class. However, these buttons are for this screen, these buttons are for this screen, and the horn is also very nice indeed. Other than this, there's another cool important feature which has been added, which happens to be soft door close. So if you don't close the door properly, it will actually suck it in. Okay, again, here we go. Yep, showed that at the rear too. So here, yeah, it pulls it inside. That is so freaking cool, and obviously very comfort oriented too. But Mercedes has also upgraded the audio system on this car, which is a 590 watt Burmester 13 speaker audio system, which is great in terms of audio quality. Let's hear an audio right away. Oh no, wrong song in the wrong car. Anyways, as you've heard, the audio quality is absolutely mind-bogglingly awesome. Plenty of airbags, plenty of safety. Now, if I have to nitpick, and I have to nitpick because these controls which are on this side, which happens to be for the parking sensor, the reverse parking camera, as well as start-stop system, and the mode selection is on the left side, which should have been on the right side instead, because on the right side you get the volume control, turning on and off the screen, and the rear sunblind control, because these controls are not important to me. These controls are, and these controls are not visible to me when I'm driving the car. So I have to actually bend here and see what are the controls. If I have to change the drive mode, it's not very intuitive for me because I have to always bend here and check it. So these controls are very ergonomically flawed. Meanwhile, Mercedes does not offer a 360-degree parking camera in this particular car, the E220d, which is available, or rather which was available with the E350d. Let's quickly get into reverse. So as you can see, this is the reverse parking camera, and there are multiple modes on offer here. It gets 360-degree parking sensors. Unfortunately, it doesn't get a 360-degree parking camera, which is imperative in a car of this size and price as well. Meanwhile, the wipers work brilliantly well too, and of course there's a lot of spray on offer. But since I've already spoken a lot more than I should have and already reviewed the Mercedes E-Class in detail, I should get going right away. Alright, we're all set to go, which means there's a lot of stuff which has to be done. Firstly, get into the home, okay, and I'm going to get into vehicle, and I'm going to turn off traction controls. You get into assistance and you turn off traction, ESP, yeah, ESP off. But actually that doesn't really matter, because if I change the modes right now, I'm going to get into individual modes, and I've already programmed everything. So the gearbox in manual, the steering in sport, and the ESP in sport plus already. which means I can still turn it off again just for fun's sake. Turn off air conditioning turned off, hazard light turned off, and we get into drive mode. Meanwhile, I also need to change the display of the cluster from classic to sport. Yes, we are all set to go. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, revs till 2,500 RPM, and off we go. Little bit of wheel spin, and that wheel spin was very little actually, although I could hear it and you could not, because obviously the road was a bit wet. Now the car I'm driving is the E220d. This car is BS6 compliant. Yes, this is BS6 compliant, which means Mercedes has made some changes to this motor. Firstly, let's talk about the engine itself. It's a 1950cc 4-cylinder motor which produces 194 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. Now to make it BS6 compliant, Mercedes-Benz has given it a DPF as well as an SCR. DPF stands for diesel particulate filter, SCR stands for selective catalytic reduction. But because only BS4 fuel is majorly available in the country, how does this car actually comply with BS6 emission norms? Well, it has an AdBlue tank which has to be refilled every service, which helps it run on BS4 fuel and comply with BS6 emission norms. With that out of the picture, let me tell you that the performance isn't the same as before, although the output is the same as before, because the performance has been blunted a bit. Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin, but I believe traction control doesn't completely turn off, which is the case with Mercedes for the safety bit. Anyways, as you can see, performance is great actually, but performance has got a bit dulled in the mid-range. So earlier this car used to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 8.8 seconds. Now it's somewhere around 9.3 seconds, so it's become slower by around half a second in spite of the same output as before. What is the reason for the same? Well, it's simple. Mercedes has made power delivery even more linear, which has blunted the mid-range to a slight extent, and that is the reason why this car doesn't feel as lively in the mid-range as before. But this motor is terrifically refined. It's very refined, very silent, and it makes some sound in the top end, redlining at around 4,500 RPM. But the problem here is that even though I have put the gearbox in manual, it will not hold on to a gear. It will upshift when it hits the red line, which is around 4,500 RPM, although the red line is marked till almost 5,000 RPM here. Fuel economy is great actually, returns between 10 to 15 kilometers per liter depending on where you're driving, and throttle response is also instant. In fact, in spite of this motor being turbocharged, it just doesn't have any low end lag as such, which means drivability is great in the city, and the mid-range, although strong, doesn't make its presence felt because there's no kick in the pants feel. Everything is so freaking linear here, and the motor is not fast revving like its rival, especially the BMW 5 Series, whose engine, the all aluminum engine, is just so much more quicker to rev and eager as well. This is also an all aluminum engine, by the way. Mercedes has actually dropped weight from the previous engine, the OM651. This engine is the OM654, and Mercedes has actually even dropped the 3 liter right now, the E350d, but that will make a return S-Class, which by the way is BS6 compliant, and the BS6 compliant version of the E350d is yet to make it to our shores. Meanwhile, overall performance is great. Refinement is the name of the game here. It's supremely smooth, supremely refined, and you've got multiple drive modes as well, which obviously alter the engine, gearbox, as well as the steering wheel and the ESP2. Yep, wheel spin for the win. Obviously power is channeled to the rear wheels over here, and the ride quality is brilliant. It doesn't use air suspension, which is there on the E350, or rather which was there on the E350. It uses steel springs, and the air suspension has that wafty cushiony feel which is lacking in this particular car. However, ride quality is still very much brilliant. It glides over the worst of road. The suspension is on the softer side. In fact, the rear suspension is even more softer, which means on bad roads there's a bit of bounce, but for the most part the car remains very stable and eager as well. In fact, because it lacks air suspension, the steel springs offer better damping when you are doing hard cornering, because body roll is better contained in the E220d compared to the E350d. That said, this is still not a driver's car, although the steering is just fab. It is light at low speeds and does weigh up brilliantly at higher speeds as well, offering great amount of feel and feedback too. But the suspension is just too soft. The length of the car is massively long. It is maddeningly long in terms of wheelbase as well, and that doesn't really bode well. In fact, subconsciously, you know, you're driving something which is as long as a train, and that's why you cannot just push it harder on corners, although there's good amount of grip on offer. But the tires are actually small in size when compared to a car of this size actually. Yeah. always so much fun driving a rear wheel drive car. Just for this reason, the wheel spin's on offer. Like I told you, this is not really a driver's car because of the softness involved here. It's quite soft actually, and this 9G tronic gearbox is very quick with shifts. It's almost always ready to give you the right shift which you're looking for. That's how brilliant it is. But it can fumble a bit at lower speeds, and when you get onto the gas immediately, it's like, yeah, wait, let me respond, wait for a minute or so. But that rarely happens, and obviously you can manually take control of things due to the paddles, which are a little too plasticky for my liking. At this price point, I expected slightly better paddles as well, and at this price point, I would say that a 4-cylinder engine in a car of this size just doesn't make sense. Although performance is right there, and it is 2 seconds slower than the E350d, but overall performance is actually adequate, because most people who are going to buy this car really would not care much about outright performance. And in terms of linearness of this performance, it is just mind-bogglingly linear. It is so freaking smooth, so freaking linear, so that a person who is sitting at the rear having a cup of coffee and reading the stocks will not be disturbed at all when the driver gets hard onto the throttle. Yeah, you can see the response of the 9G tronic is great. This car has a 66-liter fuel tank, and compared to the E350d, it is actually around 100 kgs lighter because of the lighter engine as well. Weighs around 1800 kgs, which by the way might seem a bit too much. It's a great thing that Mercedes has really committed itself to launching BS6 variants of all its cars like in real quick time. Meanwhile the competition is like, oh wait, let's wait for the norms to kick in. Mercedes has been doing it pretty fast, which is commendable. The brakes on this car also offer very good stopping power. It's very sure-footed, or rather too many varies have been used, so I'll just say that the brakes are quite sure-footed, and they stop the car in no time at all. And there's another party trick here, or rather a trick which I don't like much, because if you come close to another car, the radar based system will sense that you're going to, okay, there you see the light has blinked, and if you still keep going, the car will actually automatically apply brakes and make you stop so that you do not crash into another car. That is the level of smartness and technology on offer in the Mercedes E-Class. Linear performance is the name of the game here. Okay, right now I've put the car into 7th gear. There are 2 more gears to go, which means that you have to be above the ton to actually get into 8th or 9th gear. And once you bury the throttle in those gears, the car will smoothly and surely pick up pace, and it will be quite fast as well, making you reach the double ton in no time at all. But around the double ton, actually around 220 kilometers per hour, is where the top speed lies of this vehicle. What, we have a Lexus here? Yeah, that is the ES300H. Uska bhi vlog pending actually. The ambient light looks really beautiful. I mean, yes, Mercedes knows how to do ambient lighting. So many options, 64 colors. Wow. So should you buy a Mercedes E-Class? Well, that's a good question. The E220d is priced at rupees 70.5 lakhs for the Expression trim, and this one, which is the exclusive, costs around rupees 4 lakhs more. This one costs almost rupees 75 lakhs. Again, the prices are on road Mumbai, and there's the E200 petrol also on offer in those 2 variants which I just mentioned right now. And above this, there's of course the E63 AMG, which is an absolute mind-boggling rocket. That one runs on the short wheelbase. Every other Mercedes E-Class sold in India runs on the long wheelbase. As you can see, performance is great. It's a very comfort-oriented car, and when you compare it to its rival, which happens to be the BMW 6 Series, the 620d, it's actually cheaper than that, offering you much more comfort. But it is not a driver's car. It is oriented towards comfort, and there is no two ways about it. So if you want a car for the chauffeur-driven, just don't look beyond the Mercedes E-Class, because if you cannot afford the S-Class, this is by far the best alternative in the market right now, or the GLS, which also costs a little bit more money, and the new version is coming real soon. However, I have to nitpick, because I have to nitpick, and I'll tell you what, Mercedes should have offered the E250d or the E300d. Well, you might have not heard about the E300d, but looking at the C300d, I would say this 2-liter engine should have produced 245 horsepower and 500 Newton meters of torque, giving this car some sprightly performance. But I'm sure Mercedes will plan that in the near future, and when it comes, I would personally pick the E300d over the E350d because of the massive price gap which I expect between both these models. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, make sure to give it the thumb. What are you doing? Do not drop my cap. Give my cap back. Mercedes cap is my favorite, Actually, Mercedes gifted it to me. I think it was the launch of some AMG car was launched that time. No, I have an AMG cap. Hello, ma'am. What's up? If you mind. Hello?
Nice cap. Thank you.
Anyways, I have an AMG cap as well. And Mercedes has given me quite a few caps. So, yeah. Gap issues aside, let me tell you one thing. You drive an E63 and you drive a regular E-Class and both of them don't feel like the same car at all. That is the level of engineering madness at the Mercedes headquarters, that they're able to make two cars which are distinctly different from the same platform, because the E63 AMG is actually better than the BMW M5. I'm so sorry guys, but I had to break it to you. Meanwhile, the E-Class is more comfortable than the 5 and the 6 series. However, the 6 series is more dynamic and still offers good amount of comfort. I would choose the BMW 530d because rear seat comfort is not my priority here. But if you want rear seat comfort, nothing beats the Mercedes E-Class. And it's finally going to rain and I'm sweating like crazy. So let's end this vlog right away. Bye-bye!